live. Testing, mic check. All right, good. Audio, video. Hey, what's up, man? Welcome. Good afternoon. And we got some updates with this story, man. I should have given myself a little bit more time, but I'm squeezing in a lot today. I actually have an update to a story as well after this video that I'm going to move you guys over to. It's a short update. And then after this live stream, I'm going to be working on another stories update, I believe. There's a lot of weird things going on behind the scenes. Going to give it a second for people to join. Is it still not approved? Damn. See if the chat's working. What's up? Good afternoon. This is crazy, man. This whole thing is nuts. There was a press conference they just had too, by the way. Thank you for to Momo that sent me a lot of the links, and there was somebody else on Discord. I didn't get that information fast enough. New Orleans lady was helping too. Thank you. So this is what we're gonna do. All right, please, if you guys could hit like, share, all that good stuff, I'd appreciate it. And there's a couple of clips we're gonna before we get to the press conference. Before we get to the press conference, I'm gonna read you, and we're gonna go over some of these documents. A lot of different things here. Insanity. We're gonna look at their social media pages as well. I should have put this as the thumbnail. That'd be a good thumbnail. And apparently too, because if you guys remember, the people that have been following the story, they were questioned and let go, and then now they were rearrested. And according to the Daily Mail, they were picked up by cops in a Houston library surfing the internet stories about themselves, about their crimes. So they're sitting in a library looking up themselves, all the shit that they did, them on the news and everything. And then that's when they get caught. Little. Oh, no sound, huh? Uh-oh. Hold on one second. Oh, my bad. Thank you for telling me. I installed Windows 11 last night, and so all the stuff got unset. Let's try that.
Morning after a mother and her boyfriend were arrested after her 3 children were found living alone in the same apartment with the corpse of their brother.
Yeah, in less than an hour, the two should appear in court for the very first time. The boyfriend, 31-year-old Brian Coulter, is charged with murder. Overnight, we received these booking photos of him and the children's mother, 35-year-old Gloria Williams. ABC 13 was the only station there last night as the two were taken in for questioning. And our Erica Simon has been looking over court documents filed in this case. And Erica, there's no way to say this, but these documents really do outline some even more horrific allegations.
Jess, Amika, this is terrible. I mean, absolutely terrible. This is one of those cases that breaks your heart, and the details are hard to even wrap your head around. How can what should be responsible adults treat innocent children this way? That is the question so many of you at home are asking. So we told you how earlier in the week the mother and the boyfriend were questioned and then released, but according to the Harris County Sheriff's Office, they were picked up at a public library while looking at news articles about the investigation.
How crazy is that? These people are literally sitting in the library looking at articles about themselves.
Now let me backtrack and tell you how this whole thing started. So earlier in the week, Williams' 15-year-old son called 911 saying he and his 10-year-old brothers had been living alone in an apartment on Greencrest along with his 8-year-old brother. Skeletal Remains. Turns out he had been dead for a year. According to here.
How does that even happen? Like, how is that? It's like you can't even conceive that. Oh, we're gonna see some video too from the neighbor that spoke out that was actually helping out the kids. How the hell an entire year Skeletal Remains? And when we look at their social media, I haven't looked yet. I just grazed it, but Momo was telling me this boyfriend, they're over there talking about all the good food that they're eating. They're eating high off the hog, or however it's said. Meanwhile, these kids don't have any food. And the distance, let me just show you real quick the map. We're going to see it in the article when we get to it, but let me give you a bigger apartment where 3 siblings lived with brothers' remains, and then area where mother and boyfriend live 15 minutes away. Isn't that crazy? Let me show you guys something else. Now, apparently the father for one of the kids, and I think this is actually for real, because that one of those kids' names is Kirkland, I believe. I'm going to go through the names in a second. My son was one of the kids at that apartment. My baby mom is Gloria Williams. I'm trying to get the boys out of CPS. Please contact, I guess, me. That's pretty interesting. Let's keep going. We got a lot to do. Got a lot to get through. Please hit like. I'd appreciate it. It really helps out the stream. Help out the unpopular stories, because, this is kind of taken off a bit, I guess. But it's not like the biggest thing,
Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, the boy had multiple blunt force injuries. Investigators believe their mom, Gloria Williams, and her boyfriend, Brian Coulter, moved out and left the boys to fend for themselves, get this, after Coulter reportedly and allegedly beat the boy to death. Monday, they were questioned and released, as I said, but yesterday things took a turn once the medical examiner ruled that the boy had a homicidal violent death. They were arrested and taken in. ABC 13 was the only station there when that happened. Williams is charged with injury to a child and tampering with a corpse. Coulter is charged with murder. So where are the surviving boys right now? That is also a question that you guys. So where are the surviving? Coulter injury to was the only station there with homicidal violent death. They were arrested and taken in. ABC 13 was the only station there when that happened. Williams is charged with injury to a child and tampering with a corpse. Coulter is charged with murder. So where are the surviving boys right now? That is also a question that you guys are asking on social media. Well, they were taken to the hospital, obviously very malnourished. They were in pretty tough shape. One of the boys had face fractures. They're in CPS custody and will be placed in emergency foster care until everything can get figured out. As for Williams and Coulter, here behind me, in less than half an hour they're set to appear. They could be facing even more charges as this investigation continues. Meantime, obviously, guys, these boys need a lot of prayer, a lot of well wishes, and certainly some counseling for years to come.
And you wonder where the parents are at. We know the mother, but what's the situation with the bio father and the other kids' dads? And so the bond was set for $1 million for man accused of killing girlfriend's 8-year-old son, suspect in custody at a mental health facility. Take a little look at this clip. Thank you for the super chats and the membership. Serafina, thank you and appreciate you coming back. Momo, thank you for using the membership super chat. Hit like and subscribe button. Donna and Jess, thank you for becoming a member. And there we go.
This is our
breaking news. A mother and her boyfriend are under arrest tonight in connection with a case of 3 boys left abandoned in an apartment with the remains of their younger brother.
This is our first look at Gloria Williams and Brian Coulter, both facing multiple charges. And tonight we are learning more about the little boy who had been dead for about a year.
Lauren Tallarico is live at the jail with the update on this awful, awful case. Lauren.
Len and Mia, we now know that the boyfriend is charged with the murder of this little boy, who we now know was 8 years old at the time that he died. The mother is facing several charges here, including injury to a child by omission and tampering with evidence. In this case, a corpse. Now, there are a lot of questions, like how did these 3 children live for so long, allegedly abandoned, while their brother's remains decomposed in the next room? Here's what we've uncovered so far. Here's a look at Brian Coulter and Gloria Williams, charged in connection to a case that has shocked so many. It was this past Sunday that a 15-year-old boy living inside an apartment off Greencrest Drive called the Harris County Sheriff's Office asking for help. He said he and his 2 siblings, 11 and 7 years old, had been abandoned here in the same apartment where his 8-year-old brother had been dead for a year. Alief ISD confirms the children had attended the district but hadn't been in school since May of 2020. They also say their mother, Gloria Williams, was listed as the sole custodian. Investigators say the surviving children were malnourished when found, surviving off food the mother would occasionally bring over. And neighbors we spoke to said they had given them food too, but had no idea how bad things were inside that apartment. CPS says that tonight those kids are in foster care. As for the skeletal remains of that 8-year-old boy, the medical examiner lists the cause of death as homicide, citing multiple blunt force injuries. We are expecting the mother and boyfriend to be in court over the next several hours. Of course, we will keep you updated on this very sad and...
This guy kills her child, and she stays with the guy. And the child and abandons all her other kids. Another little short clip. See, I think this is mother. So it's Gloria Williams, and the guy's name is Brian Coulter.
Gloria, do you want to say anything to your kids? Or to your son who called police?
This is well, should we play this?
Charges up front. Preliminary autopsy results showed the 9-year-old boy whose decomposed remains that were found in an abandoned Alief apartment did not die naturally. Medical examiners determined homicidal violence with multiple blunt force injuries was the cause. The remains went undetected in the apartment for a year, according to deputies. Houston criminal defense attorney Chris Downey says the person or persons responsible could face criminally negligent homicide charges all the way up to capital murder.
You've got some children in the apartment who presumably were witnesses to what happened or may have relevant information about what happened. And you have children in the apartment who may potentially be the culprit.
Harris County deputies also found 3 children alive in the apartment Sunday, though malnourished. Downey says the children's guardian could face abandonment charges at the very least. He says it will be up to CPS to determine negligence. Downey says the other tragedy is that no sensible adult stepped up and acted sooner.
Terry, that's a great idea. Let me know. Yeah. Terry says, thank you for the super chat. I'll get info on how to send things to the boys and let y'all know on Discord. Neighbors did in fact complain more than once. Let's pull up the neighbor, and I'm going to get the other stuff in a bit, the other chats. I'm going to catch it towards the end. And before I start with this article, which is kind of long, but it's very detailed. Here's one of the neighbors. Get you a bigger screen. Neighbor who helped kids abandoned in Houston home says she's disgusted. Take a look.
We begin with a disturbing story out of West Harris County. 3 children found abandoned and living alongside the
really weird way to full screen this thing.
We begin with a disturbing story out of West Harris County.
All right, I can't. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can quickly. For some reason, that thing's not working right. Looks funky. If anybody knows where else that video is, oh, I got it right here. I think this is it. Bang! Look how good I am. I think this is it.
We begin with a disturbing story out of West Harris County. 3 children found abandoned and living alongside the skeletal remains of another child, likely their dead sibling. Evening to you, I'm iCkEdMeL.
And I'm Lynn Cannon. Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez says he has never encountered a case like this. 3 boys, ages 15, 7, and 10, living in an apartment along with skeletal remains.
Authorities now trying to ID those remains, but they believe it is the boy's 9-year-old brother. The children were living at an apartment complex located on Greencrest Drive at West Park Drive. Zach Tawatari is live there tonight. Zach?
Mia and Len, I spoke to a neighbor named Erica Chapman. She described a living situation where she thought something might be a little off, but the 15-year-old boy, she knew she didn't want him to go hungry, but she had no idea what was going on behind that apartment door. A children's playground.
He was sleeping on the slide.
Chapman says she first met the 15-year-old boy who we're told called 911, claiming he and his siblings had been living with the remains of their brother in the room next to his.
And I asked him if he was hungry, and he said yeah, and I brought him out some food and some drinks.
Harris County deputies discovered that 15-year-old boy along with a 7- and 10-year-old boy, and tragically the remains of another young child.
Honestly, I'm disgusted. If I knew something was wrong with any of those kids, I would have took all of them.
According to the Harris County Sheriff's Office, the mother of the boys and her boyfriend were brought in for questioning but released. Child Protective Services sent us this statement that says in part, the agency is seeking emergency custody of the 3 boys.
Oh, he wouldn't talk about his parents.
Erica says she didn't want to push the boy too hard with questions, hoping he would open up to her.
Because I did not want him not to come to me for food. If you're that hungry, I want him to keep coming to me. At least I know he was eating.
She says she has a message for that 15-year-old boy.
That I love him and I would take him and his brothers.
Done.
And that he needs to keep his head up. This ain't his fault.
Man, that's crazy. And I read when I did the first video that a neighbor was saying they smelled a foul odor and they were reporting it, and I guess nothing was being done about it. So let's get to the article, and then we'll do the press conference, and then we'll take a look at their social media. And it says here, House of Horrors, mother and her gangster wannabe boyfriend with family over everything tattoo. Oh my God, really? Were picked up by cops in Houston library surfing internet stories about their crimes. I'm going to skip past this because we're going to read it all in the article. Brian Coulter on Tuesday was arrested and charged with a felony murder in connection with the death of the 8-year-old child identified in court documents obtained by Daily Mail, Kendrick Lee. His bond was set for $1 million. Coulter was not present in court on Wednesday because he was undergoing a mental health evaluation. Gloria Williams, Coulter's girlfriend and the victim's mother, is charged with injury to a child by omission and tampering with evidence, a human corpse. She is expected to appear before a judge later on Wednesday. The two were previously questioned and released hours after investigators performed their welfare check on Sunday, during which they made the gruesome discovery. I still don't. The two were previously questioned and released hours after. I mean, they released them after they found the body. That just doesn't make any sense to me, unless I'm understanding it wrong. I mean, I know they're arrested now, but Williams' 15-year-old son, who had been caring for his 2 younger brothers with the help of a neighbor who brought them food and charged their cell phone when the electricity to their home was cut off, called 911, prompting a welfare check on Sunday. Linda Smith, a grandmother of one of Williams' children told Daily Mail in an interview on Wednesday that had she known what was going on, she would have adopted her grandson, Javon Kirkland, if I'm saying that right. Sorry. 7 years old, along with his brothers Jordan Lee, 15, and Trevon Lee, 10. Williams' eldest child, 17, Jasmine, was not living with the family. I was talking to Momo about this too. I wonder what her situation was, like who's she living with, bio dad, or because we haven't heard about the daughter. So this was the booking photos, looking crazy, released by Harris County Sheriff's Office. She's charged with starving and neglecting her children. This is a family photo, and so the one that's not blurred is the deceased child, Kendrick Lee, the 8-year-old boy whose body was found decomposing next to his siblings, is pictured for the first time. Kendrick is seen with his surviving siblings. And that we saw already. More images. A criminal complaint filed against Coulter alleges that on November 20th, 2020, he murdered his girlfriend's son, Kendrick, by punching him and kicking him to death. Separate complaints against William accused the mother of 5 of concealing her son's death, starving one of her children, and failing to protect a third from injury. According to additional court filings, Coulter and Williams left the 8-year-old's body to rot in a closet and then abandoned the woman's other children. Court documents obtained by Daily Mail indicate that Williams was charged twice for failing to enroll her children in school. Oh, truancy, I guess. A Leaf Independent School District told KTRK that in 2019 and 2020, the school district filed truancy papers against the siblings' mother because 2 of them, Javon Kirkland and his older sister, were not attending school. The children were last enrolled in May 2020. Both charges were later dismissed due to the Smith, Kirkins. That's kind of crazy, right? To not say that, but we can say all the other horrible stuff. Not that. This stream is probably going to be the amount of time. That's all right. Smith, Kirkland's parental grandmother, told Daily Mail that Williams and her children stayed with her for a time in 2014. Kirkland's grandmother, okay. Williams and her children stayed with her for a time in 2014 while the boy's biological father was in jail. Oh, there you go. The grandmother ultimately asked Williams to leave after learning that the woman had been bringing various men over to her house, a decision Smith now regrets. Oh, Lord. The Gloria I knew would never have done this to her kids, but it looks like she did. I guess you never know someone. Was that your daughter? Look at these people. This is on their Instagram. I'm going to take a look at that in a bit. Notice of removal of children. Gloria Williams. 10/24/2021. Neglectful supervision, abandonment. Recent social media posts show that Williams has been referring to Coulter as her husband, and the two even got a matching warrior tattoos. Coulter's significant collection of body art also includes the words loyalty and family over everything, along with face tattoos depicting a cross and a $sign. His Instagram page, which has been updated in August, shows the murder suspect posing up his over-the-top jewelry, listening to hip-hop, and making unintelligible comments. The Harris County Medical Examiner's Office on Tuesday ruled that Kendrick Lee, 8, suffered multiple blunt force injuries, resulting in his death by homicide. According to a report from the victim's 15-year-old brother, he and his 2 surviving siblings had been living the decomposing body in their apartment for over a year and called 911. And so this, let's see what this is here. Okay, yeah, this was I'm not going to read this entire thing, but this was the truancy thing, where she was charged twice for failing to enroll her children. This document here was more truancy, and then motion to dismiss everything we just read. The call led to a series of disturbing revelations, including that the 3 children, ages 15, 10, and 7, had been left to fend for themselves for several months, relying on food donations from unsuspecting neighbors to survive, while sharing an apartment with the decomposing remains of their sibling, even as their mother and her boyfriend lived just 15 minutes away. So they were questioned. Detectives with the Harris County Sheriff's Office questioned the couple before releasing them on Monday, pending the outcome of the criminal investigation. That's crazy. CPS also launched an investigation. Erica Chapman, who lives at the City Parks 2 at West Oak Apartments, said she was among the people who had been feeding the malnourished 15-year-old, not knowing he was living with his two younger brothers. Look at that. Family over everything. Foe. Crazy, man. Lord Almighty. Chapman said she noticed that the teen's mother was rarely home. She would occasionally show up bearing noodles, snacks, and drinks. The abandoned teen would run downstairs to pick up the food and then return to the apartment. About 6 months ago, Chapman said she started offering the 15-year-old food, but she said he refused to accept cooked meals, only agreeing to take packaged snacks, fruit, and pizza. Trevor Thompson, another neighbor who had been helping out the boy, told the station that the child was paranoid and feared getting poisoned. Wow. Thompson said the teen knocked on his door one day asking to borrow a charger. After that, the neighbor said he forged a bond with the boy and started offering him food. Both Thompson and Chapman said they had no idea there were two younger children living with the 15-year-old. Thompson recalled that on occasion he asked the teen if he liked the pizza he had given him. And he asked, "What? The first pizza we had." Thompson recounted that made me wonder why he would say that. So that was the first pizza they had. That's Erica. We just saw her talking. Chapman speculated that the teen may have concealed the existence of his brothers because he was afraid of being blamed, punished by his mother, or separated from his siblings. The neighbor said they never called authorities because they did not grasp the severity of the situation involving the teen, who was described as quiet and discreet. I didn't want to push him away by asking questions because I knew he was starving and needed food. All three surviving siblings were taken to the hospital for treatment. They were said to be malnourished and injured, and the 7-year-old had broken bones in his face. So all this other stuff we know. Well, that's the other neighbor. That's Trevor Thompson. Didn't want to show his face. Authorities have not said whether or not they were looking for the children's biological father. Connecting all the dots, it seems they were in there while the body was deteriorating, the sheriff said. Residents of the area said the management had been doing its inspection rounds in the area for the last couple of weeks. A neighbor living next door to the siblings told KTRK she had no idea there was anyone occupying that unit, let alone children. Man, you just living right next to these people, living next to the kids. There's a literal body. And I guess she didn't notice. The neighbor in the apartment complex told the station that she complained for months about a foul odor emanating from the unit where the shocking discovery was made over the weekend. She said that 13 or 14 months ago, she first noticed a vile odor wafting from what she thought was an abandoned apartment. The smell was so bad, the woman said, that she would be forced to turn off the air conditioning to prevent it from entering her apartment through the vents. The neighbor said she complained several times to the building's management about the smell, but it was unclear if anyone had gone to the unit housing the siblings to inspect it.
15, we also have...
All right, let's check out the press conference then. We're already at the end of this. This just happened less than an hour ago.
Good morning. I'm Ed Gonzalez, your Harris County Sheriff, and thank you for joining us this morning as we provide an update to our community on a recent case. There aren't many jobs in our agency that are tougher than those involving abused children. These incidents are horrific, heartbreaking cases of abuse and neglect, and they involve the most innocent and defenseless among our community. On Sunday, our patrol deputies and investigators responded to a gruesome child abandonment case. For many agency veterans, it was the most disturbing scene they worked in their entire law enforcement career. It seemed too horrific to be real. It's hard to even explain to you that feeling. Our investigators immediately began piecing together what happened and trying to unfold a seemingly senseless death of a child who was supposed to be loved and cared for, and trying to understand unspeakable living conditions for the dead child's siblings who were left alone for months to fend for each other. We are here to share what we know today and to share our continued commitment to these children and our community. We must work tirelessly as child safety advocates to protect our most vulnerable, and we must work as a team. Sergeant Dennis Wolford with our homicide unit will be talking through the charges with you and any updates on this active investigation. And I want to emphasize active. It's still an active investigation that is continuing. Briefly, I want to provide a scene recap. On Sunday, October 24th, 2021, at about 3:15 p.m., our deputies received a phone call from a 15-year-old child who advised that his brother had been dead for a year and his body was in an apartment unit at 3530 Greencrest near West Park Tollway. He also stated that his parents had not lived in the apartment in West Harris County with him and his siblings for several months. Our patrol deputies found a 15-year-old and 2 other male children in an apartment unit ages 10 and 7 who appeared malnourished and showed signs of physical injury. They also found skeletal dry remains. The Sheriff's Office Homicide Unit, Child Abuse Unit, and Crime Scene Unit investigators responded to the scene. The children were taken to a local hospital to be assessed and treated. The Texas Department of Family and Protective Services received emergency custody of them. Now I want to pause just briefly just to say that in the midst of the darkness and this horrific situation, that I'm so glad that that 15-year-old finally reached out for help. I want to say that I'm glad that he found assistance at the end of the other line with one of our call takers. And I'm comforted to know that when he opened the door and there was a Harris County Sheriff's Office deputies there, that they could finally receive the care and protection that they've needed for so long. And that's what law enforcement does every single day, finding people in their darkest moments. The mother of the children, 35-year-old Gloria Yvette Williams, and her boyfriend, 31-year-old Brian Ward Coulter, were located late Sunday night and interviewed by investigators before being released without charges. Now, I think it's important to note that at that point, it's still an ongoing active investigation. We didn't find them until late that night. And so we have to make sure that we're being thorough, not getting ahead of the evidence and the investigation that's ongoing. And so at that point, they were released without any charges. On Tuesday, October 26, 2021, the Sheriff's Office Homicide Unit charged the mother's boyfriend, Brian Coulter, with the murder of the child, who was confirmed to be 8 years old at the time of his death in 2020. The manner and cause of death were ruled a murder by multiple blunt force injuries, according to the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences. The mother of the murdered child, Gloria Yvette Williams, was charged with injury to a child by omission and tampering with evidence. Both Williams and Coulter were taken into custody without incident by our criminal warrants unit investigators, and this remains an active investigation. At this point, I want to introduce Sergeant Dennis Wolford, the lead investigator with our homicide unit, that will speak about the child's murder and updates. A lot of this information will still be general. Keep in mind, there are certain things we could answer, other things we simply can't at this point for a variety of reasons. And it remains active because there's always a possibility, as we mentioned, that there could be additional charges, that charges could be upgraded. So it's still an unfolding investigation at this point. But at this point, I introduce Sergeant Wolford.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning. Again, my name is Sergeant Dennis Wolford. I'm the supervisor of the homicide unit that was tasked with investigating this. It's a group of 6 investigators. The lead investigator is actually Deputy John Craig. Child abuse also made the scene with us, and they were invaluable in the input that they gave us dealing with CPS and things like that. One of the things that I want to express, I know that there was a lot of people upset that these people weren't taken into custody right away. And one of the things you have to understand is, one, the law of statements, the laws of the state of Texas, and how we get these things into trial. We knew at that point that these children were safe because they were in CPS custody, and the decision was made not to arrest that night. And the reason is because a lot of evidence has to come in before we can actually file charges, including a ruling from the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences on what caused this child's death. We also had numerous people, forensic interviews with the children and stuff like that had to be done. Plus, we have to corroborate what the children are telling us before charges can be filed. So believe me, we, from the very beginning, me, the 6 of us, the child abuse guys, we were focused on getting these charges done, and we wanted to get them done as quickly as possible. But above all, murder investigations, child deaths, child murders, they are methodical investigations. And our end goal is to see that justice is served, not to just put people in jail. We want justice to be served. I will answer any questions that I can for you. There may be some that I cannot. Again, as the sheriff said, in my long time of working homicides, this one's up there. This one affected us.
We'll circle back with the questions just a bit, but let me.
Sure. Yes.
And I also want to mention that we have members here from our Crimes Against Children unit as well. Lieutenant Lovett and his team are here as well, and so they'll be present if there's certain questions that perhaps they can answer. I do want to just mention a couple things that may come up before we get into other parts of it, is that it's our understanding that the children that were present in the apartment, that there were two fathers involved. Not involved in the scene, what I'm saying in terms of connected to them. We're told, we haven't confirmed it yet, but that one is possibly deceased already and the other was simply not involved in the lives of the children, so they were not in the picture. There's also, I believe, at least 2 other siblings that were not in the apartment that are elsewhere as well. So I just wanted to mention that we are aware of those dynamics as well. I want to just briefly say it in Spanish as well, just recap what we had. El día donde encontraron a los entonces vamos a the system that cared for these children. It's very heartbreaking, and we offer our condolences just, to the siblings that remain and anyone that has ever cared for these children in some form or fashion. And so our heart breaks for them, and we're going to do everything possible to be their aspects through the part of the system that we control, and that we leave no stone unturned, as I promised at the scene. And we will also, our prayer, or my prayer, is that the remaining children find the love, support, and protection that they so desperately need and deserve, and that they have been missing for so long. And I hope that their future is better than their past. We're also told that they hadn't been in school since last May, so for more than a year they've been missing out on that as well. So there's a lot of factors to this, a lot of moving parts, and so that's where we're at right now. I'll go ahead and pause just to see if there's any. I'm sure there'll be questions, but Donald?
What were the children's injuries? He said when you found them, they appeared to be malnourished and physically injured. What were their injuries?
Lieutenant, do you want to speak a little bit to the injuries, or does anyone know the physical injuries?
So the 9-year-old does have an injury to the jaw that we come to believe was caused to his jaw by the boyfriend, Brian Coulter, several weeks ago. There was no medical attention given for that injury. That injury is going to cause, he's going to have surgery, and that surgery will happen soon. They were very thin. One of the first things I asked them what are they hungry, and they said they were. And the first thing, I don't know if it was because we're cops or what, but they wanted donuts. So, and we immediately went and got them Shipley's donuts. But the physical injury that was evident to the 9-year-old, that's the only real overt sign of trauma to them as far as physically.
I want to mention as well, because that was something that was very disturbing, is that back to the different parts, we had the dry remains, skeletal remains that were present. So clearly in our initial observations, the body had been there for a long time, and so that was disturbing. But on top of that, we had a serious injury to another small child that apparently had not received, to our knowledge, any kind of medical attention, any pain.
It's crazy. I get what they were saying before, that like, I guess they want to be able to have enough to charge somebody, so they just let him go. I don't know how you find a body and kids abandoned. It's still just mind-boggling to me. I guess they wanted to get the homicide ruling. Kids living with a body. Well, I guess skeletal remains.
Treatment or anything like that during the course of this. I also want to point out as well, I mentioned a little bit that the apartment was in a deplorable condition. We saw soiled carpet, no furniture at all, no bedding, no blankets, nothing that we could see, and it appeared to have roaches and flies and just things. It was very bad condition for anyone, especially children, to live in.
I spoke with neighbors who were the ones helping give that 15-year-old food, and they didn't know there were 2 other boys inside that apartment. To your knowledge, did the 2 younger boys ever leave the apartment for several months? Were they stuck in the apartment?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, I do not believe that the 2 young boys were ever allowed to leave that apartment. There is some evidence that perhaps they were locked in, possibly different parts of the apartment, and they were not to leave that apartment, from what I understand.
With what you can tell us, it obviously took, the 15-year-old was brave enough to call you guys, but it did take a year. Fear, what can you tell us about what he's saying, threatening? What took so long to call authorities?
I believe it was absolute fear. What the investigation is leading us to the fact that this mother and her boyfriend have been together for a few years now, a couple years. And over time, I think that the beatings were consistent and mainly, involving the younger children. And the 15-year-old just absolutely afraid and was basically hoping or relying on his mother to at some point contact law enforcement and advise of his deceased brother in the house, and that didn't happen. And I think after a year's time, the 15-year-old boy finally said enough is enough, and that's when he decided to contact law enforcement.
So those children have been through a lot of trauma, and so again, I mean, the fear, the death of a sibling and other things, it's just heartbreaking, and so the trauma is just at another level. So, one in Spanish?
Sí. ¿Dónde estaban estos señores? ¿Dónde estaba la esposa, y la madre y este señor? ¿Dónde los encontramos?
Ellos estaban viviendo, pues hay diferentes aspectos. Uno es cuando fueron arrestados y el otro estaban viviendo.
La pregunta que le quiero hacer es, no tenían muebles, no tenían nada, ni una cobija, nada.
Generally speaking, and I said that they were living in a separate apartment of their own. And so the follow-up question was, do we know if that apartment was more decent and more well taken care of than the one the kids were in? So I don't know if we know that detail, but do we know the condition of the apartment they were in?
We do not know that yet. We have, we're in contact with that complex, and that is on the follow-up stuff we have to do in this week, is to go over there and document what
I'm going to say this, I'm sorry. Any clue of why this happened? Have you talked to these individuals to say as to what was going through their mind in doing this to this kid?
Well,
especially the mother.
Without giving direct quotes or saying what we learned in these interviews or things of that nature, you have to understand a child abuser, and this is a textbook case of a person that abuses children. And the mindset, the demeanor, the children that are abused, 7, 9 years old, 12 years old, very, very vulnerable children. One of something that's probably not out yet is that these are special needs children. And so you have a very manipulative person who's not only, and this mother had a year to contact law enforcement. So you can't tell me that for every minute for a year, you were afraid. But this is a classic child abuser. So someone that picks on these young children, and whether it gives them some kind of I don't know the word for it, some kind of makes them feel better about themselves to abuse these children. I don't know, but I do think that the type of person this is very manipulative from the children they're abusing to the mother as well.
So was he the abuser? Was she the abuser?
Well, I would say they're both abusers. He's an abuser physically, and she's an abuser by omission. Very much so.
Can you talk about why the mother and the boyfriend made the decision to leave the apartment, to find a new place to live?
Well, I would absolutely think that common sense would tell you that they're
After they killed the boy, after the boyfriend
distancing themselves from a dead child, and they know that it's gone on for by the time they moved out, you're talking about probably 5 to 6 months after death. They know the entire time that there's a dead body in this apartment, leaving the kids there in the apartment. Yet those two, the two that are guilty in several different areas, they're going to separate themselves. So they go living in another apartment so that they don't have to be around them.
It's got to be really scary too. I would just think as a child, as a kid, and knowing that like your sibling is, who knows? The kids probably saw it happen too, I could imagine. And thinking maybe, if you do anything, you'll end up like your sibling, And
the mother, we believe, was providing some food by delivery service or having food dropped off on a fairly routine basis. I didn't see anything that was healthy type of food. It was, I think, more like junk food, noodles and chips and soft drinks and things like that. Let me work my way over here.
First question, is there any evidence that the mother was being physically abused herself?
No.
No evidence of that. No outcry has been made from the mother.
Can you give us any information about CPS's prior interaction with this family and why that investigation ceased?
We're going to refer that to CPS. Obviously, they could speak to their own investigations and what they have on file. So we're not going to speak to that. Let me make my way.
Can you provide any information about what led to the child's death? I know you said that
it's just blunt force trauma is what we know. I mean, it's still. We'll work with the medical examiners to get more into the weeds on that, but. Again, that was another twist to all this, is that we were, in addition to one serious child that's alive with serious injuries and the malnourishment and abandonment, we had a skeletal dry remains that were discovered as well. So we'll work through that with the medical examiners, but it was ruled a homicide due to blunt force injuries.
You think it was happening in 2020, but do you have
2020, we think approximately November.
Any more exact date than that?
Did you ask for an exact date? I'm sorry. No, we do not have more of an exact date than that. We believe we're using Thanksgiving of 2020, sometime around November 20th through November 29th is kind of the reference point we're using there. And we absolutely believe that's when that child was killed.
And based on state of decomposition, all these were dry remains. I would just want to be clear with that. It wasn't. It was already at that stage. Let me make already. Let me.
Two questions about the building management. One, who was paying for the bills? Were the bills being paid?
Our understanding is that they were receiving some type of maybe government assistance for that. I don't know how those payments are done, if they're directly to the apartment and how they were handled.
And will part of your investigation be looking at this apartment complex? I'm told with this housing complex, they're supposed to be doing inspections regularly, pest control, looking at when the last time someone was inside the apartment. Was there any failure on their part as well?
We will document that, obviously, all of that, but I don't think that the focus of our investigation, the Harris County Sheriff's Office, will be on whether there's any type of liability on that apartment complex, any type of criminal liability. Ours is strictly the murder of this child and the fact that the mother did not contact law enforcement, report this, or get any kind of help for any of her children that needed it.
Are all 4 children special needs? What type of special needs do they have, or were they
We've received some information that at least 2 may be on the autistic spectrum, but we're not, medical professionals know that part yet. We don't, but that's the general information that we've received. So on top of being abandoned, these are children that really needed some additional care and support to, understanding the dynamics of that.
¿Podría decir eso en español, por favor?
Nos dicen que los niños tal vez estaban autistic. Los restos cuando como si remains were found. No, estaba. The remains, the skeletal remains were found in plain view, if you will. They weren't concealed in any way or anything like that.
Do you believe the boyfriend and mother were going back to the apartment and actually hurting the children while still giving them food?
Well, if the injury to the small child would indicate there was still some level of contact, so I don't know. I don't think they were really spending much time in there at all. But Sarge, do you have anything?
Yeah, the evidence that they continued to abuse these children is that, one, the injury to the 9-year-old boy that we understand did not occur in that apartment, that injury to him, that he had been picked up and he was taken somewhere and then brought back.
And then, so they were in this apartment for so long. We had some neighbors giving them food. Somebody said he looked really thin. They were not in school. A message to parents. How important is it when you see stuff like this to call for help, to say, hey, these kids, I'm worried. They're in this apartment. I've been giving them food for X amount of months. He looks really thin. How important is it that we call 911 in these cases? Because we probably could have, helped these kids a lot earlier, and they're at this point, they're just traumatized by what happened.
Well, that's a perfect segue because I do want to kind of close at least some of the formal, and if we still have questions, we'll answer a few more, but I wanted to make sure I got this in. We rely on our community to report abuse and keep our children safe when they see the signs of a child in need. Signs of abuse aren't always obvious, but they are often there if you know where to look. We are asking every adult in our community to help. Take actionable steps to create safer environments for the children in your life. 1, if you see something, say something. Reporting suspicions of child abuse can save a life, prevent further victimization, or stop more children from being victimized. 2, learn how to recognize and report child abuse. Education and training are our best defense against those who harm children. 3, talk to your children. Start the conversation early and continue the discussion throughout their upbringing. 4, spread the message. Tell your neighbors and loved ones how they, too, can do their part to keep our children safe in a real and virtual world. Our partners at the Children's Assessment Center offer free training and resources on the signs and symptoms of child abuse and share stories of survivors throughout the year. Sadly, in 2020, nearly 4,000 children received services at the Children's Assessment Center here in Harris County. These experts provide high-quality care so children can thrive. Their work embodies the sentiment, no future should be out of reach. And while the work of our Sheriff's Office specialized units is always essential, it is especially critical during a crisis. The disruption brought on by the pandemic made our children even more vulnerable to abuse. Some of those traditional safety nets have been removed, with children not regularly attending schools, daycares, and after-school programs. We have a shared responsibility and shared commitment to ensure every child lives a life free from abuse. Prevention through education is key. If you're concerned about your child in your life, call us at 713-221-6000. If you want to remain anonymous, call Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS. And in closing, I want to make sure that I just recognize our personnel, those in the front lines, the deputies that first responded, the sergeants, the call taker, the investigators, our crime scene unit investigators, our warrants team, just everybody. It really has taken an entire team. They've worked tirelessly around the clock and have really given it their all to make sure we got to this point. And I know sometimes the general public wants us to work a case as if it were a crime series and everything's going to be wrapped up in an hour. I understand that. We understand their same frustration and concerns and eagerness, but we have to stay focused. with what's in our line of sight, make sure we're being professionals. We owe it to these children to make sure that if a case comes to trial, that there's a chance for successful prosecution. So we want to make sure that we're being thorough. And sometimes we can't just go with what our own personal feelings may be. We have to put those aside and focus on the job at hand. So I want to thank all of them here today and those that may not be present because they're obviously out in the field doing other work. We'll take just a couple closing questions and then we'll have to stop.
I know that you said that whenever you saw the kids, they were hungry, but emotionally, how were they? Were they relieved? Were they happy? How did they react when they saw you guys?
In my opinion, those children were younger than their chronological age. They were very sweet children, very nice, very well spoken. And you know, from the very beginning, everything we asked them, they were just straightforward. But you know, at the same time, though, you have that 1,000-yard stare. You know, that blankness in the eyes, but they were as sweet as they can be. You know, it was very sad, but you know, they are good children.
Were each of the children, from the youngest, aware of the abuse that the boyfriend's accused of? And then were they aware that the body was there decomposing over the year?
They were aware of the body being there. I don't know how much detail we want to say about what each one knew or not.
Yes.
Just as
I will say those children will be very vital and key witnesses in the prosecution of Mr. Coulter.
Will you guys release the 911 calls? Or the 911 calls?
We'll talk about that, and if it's something we can do, we'll for transparency, we'll try to get that out. Dime, porque...
En español, rapidito, que esos niños están marcados de por vida.
Sí, los niños, él describió los niños que a primer ojo parecía ser que no estaban de un estado de madurez para su edad, pero que aparte de todo, en los tipos le pedimos al público que ponga algo que ahí no ven a los días. Nosotros nos ponemos es de la escuela, si
¿Qué se puede hacer?
no es ningún 15 ages, were 15, 10.
15, 7, and 9.
Mm-hmm. And I believe they were staying in West Houston.
How far was
Is
it?
approximately? Like
their new apartment from the old.
It was
about a 25-minute drive.
Were there any previous law enforcement calls to service involving that address of the family?
Have we checked that particular unit?
Yes, there are none that when they've been able to find as of today.
Yeah.
The smell, how did they control the smell?
I don't know. I mean, it just
right.
That baffles us. We've been to a lot of scenes like that, and that smell is one that stays with you. And so I don't know. I mean, I feel for those children and everything they've endured, their physical injuries and situation, as well as the mental and emotional aspects of everything they've endured. So again, my hope and prayer, and I'm sure that the community shares, is that these kids find the love, support, and care that they deserve and need, and all children do. Si el olor, no sé cómo lo controlaron, es un olor muy fuerte cuando fallece alguien, y especialmente.
He's asking about the odor and how were they able to control and maintain the odor. There's got to be a strong pungent odor. And he said he doesn't know.
Cuando un cadáver estuvo ahí, los restos estuvieron ahí por mucho tiempo, entonces ya después se va pasando el olor, pero no sé cómo pudieron haber sobrevivido pero pasado esa etapa donde estaba esa. But we'll go ahead and close at this point. Gil's available, and others will be available if anything comes up. And again, thank you so much for sharing this story with the community, and we hope to raise awareness about what's out there in the community. Again, thank you to our deputies and our call takers and everybody involved for a job well done to this moment. Thank you all very much.
Man, it's a sick story. I don't really like to hear that stuff. I mean, who does? But it's just well, this is the guys. Let me get you a full screen. This is one of the Instagrams that I know about. I don't know if this has music. Let me see.
Quick.
Yeah. Faux-ish. Chilling, having fun, getting money. Fly than a hoe all day, every day. This was 12 weeks ago. Look at this guy.
Say, man, y'all be talking about like.
Hold on, let me fix the volume. My bad. Hold on a second. I had to turn it up for the press conference.
Say, man, y'all be talking about like y'all hood from the streets and shit, blah 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 blah. Say, man, look, I got a car and all that other shit. But what y'all niggas know about this here, man? Man, what this is here, man? What you know about this here, man? Huh? None of y'all niggas know about this. So stop acting like you do. Stop running out here about this rich shit. It don't even matter, bruh. We done all came from the bottom. Before you was rich, you ain't had a bitch ass thing unless your mama helped you or somebody else helped you or you want to steal something from somebody. So quit motherfucking fronting and quit doing all this. Come with some boys, man, and some real nigga shit.
Oh, man. I don't want to. It's just.
Hey, man. Shout out to Centerpoint Energy. Hey, gentlemen. Y'all salute, man. Or ladies and gentlemen. Or, I mean, I don't think a lady would be out in the snow right now. But, I mean, that's just my personal opinion, ladies. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't got to. Oh, look, see, the power keep on flickering. Centerpoint, man. Hey, shout out to y'all boys, man. I got a high-ass electric bill. I'm gonna be real with y'all. That shit like a C note. No bullshit, okay? But y'all niggas out here, look, it's 150 it's 150 in the motherfucking morning, man. 151.
Trashy ass people, man. Over here eating plates of food.
Some I gotta work at, man. I
didn't want to like. I'm just looking to see. You can check this out.
Look at my motherfucking plate. Ooh, she said, motherfucker.
Kids starving, dying. You already killed one child, and you're over here eating food and drinking, living it up. That's crazy, man. Crazy. They better save all this stuff, download it, whatever. Use this in court. Not somebody has any kind of remorse or guilt or anything, or conscience or soul.
Haters with this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Well, hey, man, you know, some of y'all gentlemen out there, y'all ain't that blessed, man. Y'all ain't that lucky.
I don't want to play the music because I don't know. I have issues.
This shit right here.
Oh, there's Mama. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to play that old thing. So I wonder if this is in the other apartment. This was in February.
With their families, them police ain't shit.
We eating good.
My motherfucking food get called while I'm fucking with y'all bitches. I'm trying to show these people y'all people on Instagram how good this shit look. This shit better than Taco Bell, motherfucker. Real shit, this homemade tacos. This a blessing. I guess I gotta. It make you record a video for so long and do all this dumbass bullshit.
Anyway, it's incredible what people sacrifice their kids to. I mean, I'm looking at this guy like a piece of crap, but it's also to me like reflecting upon the mother too. You know, like Jesus. They'll take anybody. They'll take anybody and sacrifice their kids. My God.
You know.
Music, smoking, music, drinking, living life. This is mom's, well, one of her Instagrams. I don't know if she has another one, but this is the matching, I guess the matching tattoo. Warrior. What's about here? Going out for drinks. Look at this. That was in 2020, so this is an old post. I don't know when the Me and my husband. Kids. Food, drinks. I think these are old posts though. This is 2019. Yeah, that's sick, man. Yeah, they're locked up. They're locked up. This thank you everybody for coming. I'm gonna read the super chats. I'm gonna let you guys know what's happening, what's coming up. Oh, I'm gonna show a premiere update to a story too after this stream. I'm gonna move you guys over, so just stay here. It's a short update, 5 minutes long. Let's see. Raylene, thank you so much. I love your channel. You're amazing. Miss Queen making marks. Here's another prime example of child protective services, the education system, and the village failing our children. I don't trust the village, but I have seen where it can be beneficial, but I feel like the village is corrupt. Serafina, thank you so much. Aussie T, yo, your voice is always 10 times louder than the vids. Is that good or bad? I don't know. I guess probably bad. Maria by Love, this makes me so sad, heartbreaking. Please like and share. Thanks for working on the story, Mel. Thank you, Maria. I appreciate you being on Discord. Sally, thank you for the super chat. Terry, I'll get info on how to send things to the boys and let y'all know on Discord. Neighbors did in fact complain more than once. Yeah, I saw somebody in the live chat asking about a GoFundMe. I haven't seen anything like that yet. I'm not even sure how that would work because I don't think there's any guardians. They're like in the system, I guess. Maybe if somebody does, but then it's like, can you even trust these people to do the right thing? But it would be cool if we could find something, a way to send things, Michelle, thank you for the super chat. If he beat the brother so violently, I could imagine that they were probably scared to call police, just fearful of what would happen when they left. Agreed. Robin, thank you for the super chat. Krista, just wanted to say that what you're doing is amazing. I found you because of Gabby and so happy I did. Thank you. You're a blessing to so many. Thank you. Thank you, Krista. Sherry, in tears. Thank you for the super chat. Jackie, how did this get past schools, neighbors, family, and CPS? Chronic absenteeism should have triggered a report. Smells like death. Smells like death is like no other. Smell of death is like no other. The moratorium probably kept management away for non-payment. Maybe so. It's just TK. They hold people with cannabis prohibition probation, maybe you meant to say, charges longer, which is backed by Harry Anslinger, who is racist ideology. We need real criminals in jail. There was this really crazy story that I covered. I'll tell you a couple of things. There was this really crazy, I can't remember her name. I always feel bad when I forget her name. I remember the crazy person. This woman, what's her name? Carmesia Flanagan. Anybody remember that? I'm going to make a recommended playlist. I was telling people on Discord about it, of some of the crazy stories that I bet you've never heard of. Carmesia Flanagan, 22, killed Brandy Ballard, 52. And she was like racing. She gets into an accident. It's her fault. She kills this woman, leaves the scene of a crime, right? They arrest her. When they finally catch her, they arrest her. She bails out. She makes a video on YouTube cursing everybody out, cursing the lady that she killed, laughing, doing all this stuff with her mother. And when she bailed out, she was actually already on bail from something else. I think somewhere else. So she wasn't supposed to be let out. So after she does that and spits on everybody and the family and the victims, then they were like, oh, we're going to have to arrest her. We're going to rescind or whatever, the bail or bond or whatever. And so she went on a run. She was gone for like 2 weeks. I think they found her in Georgia. And so when you hear stories like that, where they just let these people, and she had a long ass history. She had some sort of charge in the past for shooting somebody, long ass history of stuff. And she just got let right back out. Check real quick. Anything else? Yeah, so we're going to do the premiere. Make sure you guys join up Discord, whoever's interested. It's growing. It's really interesting. I'm gonna have to figure out another way to stream on Discord because we had so many people the last time. I couldn't stream in voice chat. There was that many people. It was over 100 something people in voice chat. So between today, tomorrow, because Friday we're doing a public Discord. The last Friday of every month, we do a public Discord voice chat. Everybody comes in, and so I have to figure it out for this Friday. And then the members, we do it every Friday, kind of thing. We're trying. So yeah, if you guys could hit like, let me premiere this other thing. I'm gonna move you guys over. I'd appreciate it, man. We'll be following the story. I'm gonna be making a case folder too. Sally asked me to make a case folder for this. Set as premiere. This premiere is pretty short, it's almost 6 minutes. Let's see. And what I recommend you check out too, if you haven't done so already, check out Chloe Smith. The last live stream I did, that was pretty good. Very detailed. Everything you need to know is in that live stream. Let's see, redirect. Okay, save. I feel like I'm forgetting one thing. Thank you for the likes. Appreciate that, man. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Why did I say something I forgot? Damn, Sally. Send me a lot of stuff. All right, I guess that's it. So stay here. It's going to end, but don't leave. It's going to move you over. Oh, thank you for all the new members. That's what I meant to say. The new members. Thank you for all the people joining up. I appreciate that. It really helps out the channel, especially when content gets demonetized. The videos get demonetized. I have new perks and things coming for the members as well. Just check. Thank the new people. Jax, Random Picks, Gigi Juju, Brandy Posa, Anise, Tara, Lacey. I think you're all new. Thank you guys. Sarah, Lacey, Amanda, Donna. Thank you guys. All right, let's go.